Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch who lived just north of Whoville did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one knows quite the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow's Christmas is practically here. But he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find a way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early, and they'd rush for their toys, and then, oh, the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated, the noise, 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 noise. Then the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast and they'd feast, and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who's roast beets, which is something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. And they'd sing and they'd sing and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop Christmas from coming, but how? Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I look just like St. Nick. All I need is a reindeer, the Grinch looked around. But since reindeer are scarce, there were none to be found. Did that stop the Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he caught his dog Max, then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks in a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch simply said, giddy up, and the sleigh started down towards the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark, quiet, snow filled the air, and all the Who's were dreaming sweet dreams without care. Then he came to their little house, first house on the square. This is stop number 1, the Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. And then he slid down the chimney a rather tight pitch. But if Santa can do it, then so could the Grinch. Sorry. He got stuck once for a moment or two, and he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present, pop guns and bicycles, roller skate drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn and plums, and he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beef. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. Who comes next? Yes, ma'am? Yeah. Yeah, Cindy Lou Who's going to show up. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove. Then he heard a small sound like a coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw the small Who's. Cindy Lou Who was no more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? But you know that old Grinch, he was so smart and so slick, and he thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, and I'll bring it back here. And this fitful the child, and he patted her head, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and he stuffed that tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log for the fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, that old liar. On the walls he left nothing but some hooks and some wire. And one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was much too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. It was dawn, all the Who's still in bed. All the Who's still snoozed while they packed up a sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, the tinsels, the trimmings, the trappings. About 3,000 feet up at the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Poo-poo to the Who's, he grinchiously humming. They're finding out now that their Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open for a moment or two. Then the Who's all down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then started to grow. Are they sad? No. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, it sounded quite merry. It couldn't be so, but it was very merry. He started down in Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or the other, it came just the same. And the Grinch with his Grinch feet ice cold and snow stood puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzle was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something. He had it before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beef. All right, so a lot of people hear about the Grinch and they just think, oh, that bad guy, or oh, you're a Grinch or so. But what is this book truly about? People usually don't even think about what the book truly is about. What is it about? Yes, ma'am?
It's about how the Grinch
changed, right? Okay. Yes, ma'am?
It's about what Christmas is really about.
Yes. And what is Christmas really about? Is it about the presents and stuff you get? No. What's it about? Yes?
It's about being joyful to everyone.
Being joyful, being together, right? All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to pass out this piece of paper, this heart. It's going to go around. On it, I'm going to write Mrs. Hoover's class. And what you're going to write is one word or a few words. It doesn't matter. That's what Christmas is about, okay, to you. Are we going to put presents and gifts and all that junk? No. What?
I know the Grinch hated Christmas for
What?
Because his parents left him on Christmas.
Yeah, that's that movie. I like the first movie and the last movie. I really don't like the middle movie. But I mean, I know other people love it. But I have seen it. You're right. So, what we're going to do is just write what Christmas means to you. See how the other classes have done it? On a heart. Just with a pencil. And then I'm going to hang it up around my Grinches outside my classroom. Sorry. In the meantime, also what I'm going to do is we're going to do I'm going to have to find some room. Directive drawing. So I'm going to give you a piece of paper. What I want you to do is I want you to fold it in half and then fold it in half again. Okay? Half and in half. You can start that and then pass it behind. So fold it in half and then fold it in half again when you get your paper. All we need now is a pencil